The following program may contain spoilers for the IDW Comics Transformers series, Autocracy. Hell, who are we kidding? It gives away the entire f***ing plot. If you haven't read Autocracy, please support IDW Comics by picking up the series from your local comic book shop. Or just keep watching ahead. We can't tell you what to do.
So we talk about Megatron's origins. So now we got to talk about kind of the origins of his antithesis, which is technically the Primes, but one Prime in particular that we all know and love, the big truck Optimus.
Essentially, it starts off with Orion Pax. He stands up against the corrupt government of Cybertron. He was dismantled, but he's rebuilt by the powers that be to be part of Zeta's Prime Enforcement. So he's an authority figure that serves as a warrior against the terrible Decepticons, those terrible bastard robots. He leads his own contagion of Autobots to hunt down Swindle, who is a Decepticon arms dealer, in the streets of Nyan. Now, Nyan is a new city that just kind of fell under Decepticon rule, so not a lot of people want that city to be there anymore. So essentially, they're looking after Swindle. He's trying to sell some stolen Autobot phase chargers to one of the sleeper cells, and despite, being told to stand down, he just fires into a crowd of people. The Autobots are like, shit, we don't want innocent people getting hurt, and they realize that, well, these people don't really give a shit because all they see when they see Autobots is people that don't care about other people. So essentially, Orion Pax comes in, attacks Swindle, and with the Decepticon fucking scared shitless, he demands that Swindle kind of spill everything he knows about Megatron, his whereabouts. He doesn't care. He just sticks to the whole thing that the Decepticons are going to be the new order. Fucking fuck you guys. Not really buying into Orion's, angry face. He just gets ready to kill him. Orion Pax is like, fuck it, I'm just going to kill this guy. Dude, I'm done with it. And Bumblebee's like, no, man, you can't do that. Come on, man. All these people are watching. They're going to think you're fucking crazy, Orion. What the hell is wrong with you? What the fuck happened to you? So essentially, Orion he's all messed up. He has no idea what's going on. And then all of a sudden, they find that there is a bomber in the city. Orion Pax is like, wait. Let's let him run away and see if we can find out what's going on here. And Laserbeak, who's watching the whole thing, flies away and is like, fuck, whatever. This is all I do. I hate being Laserbeak. It sucks. So now we go to the Senate, where Sentinel Prime is reviewing the situation with Megatron and all of his Decepticon buddies. And they're especially worried about everybody in Nyan because they decided to say, you know what, fuck you Autobots, we're going to the Decepticons because, you guys suck. Starscream arrives at the proceedings as a delegate. Zeta Prime gives a firm reminder to the delegate that nothing forces him to respect his presence and moves on to show you what the Vampiric does on the captured Swindle. So Zeta goes on to explain how the actual weapon works and tells him that it requires a hell of a lot more power, and that power is going to come from the actual citizens of Cybertron. Now all the senators are like, fucking no? We serve the people. People can't die? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Zeta explains in the proceedings that 9 has already begun and he's already have a plan in place, and he tells Orion Pax to get his shit on the go.
So Zeta Prime wants to use this weaponry to kind of go to Kaon and the city-states around Kaon and just, I want to be done with these Decepticons. Megatron killed a Prime. We look pretty shitty right now. And he wants everybody to be on his side. And there are all these other little, fractions of bots that are living on the fringes of society. And one of those guys is named Hot Rod.
Starscream is pretty cool with this plan for some fucked up reason. But he accidentally blurts out that, what he's done far worse in the name of, just to get, it's like, hey, what's going on, guys? I'm totally not a Decepticon. To get Zeta off his scent, Starscream points out that the Decepticon spy in their midst, Soundwave. What? And Soundwave's like, fuck this, and leaves. Zeta orders Orion Pax to hunt him down before he can reveal Zeta's plan to the populace. Orion Pax and all of his Autobot buddies, they're going after Soundwave, who is spying on Zeta Prime and suspected of being one that murdered the old Senate. Because if you recall from Megatron Origins, he did do that. Him and Starscream and a whole lot of people, including Megatron, fucking killed the old Senate. And Sentinel Prime. So yeah, they got their friend Silverbolt in the air. He sees where Soundwave's going, and Bumblebee and the Hound are going in, and Soundwave unleashes Ravage, his super cool Panther friend.
Ravage, eject.
And all of the Autobots are defeated, but at least they manage to take the enemy down with them. Okay, so we got Ironhide and we got Prowl. And they catch up with Soundwave. And they're under the bridge. And then he takes out Rumble. And Rumble makes the bridge fall on top of them. And then Orion Pax comes down. And he's like, you know what? My fucking turn. And gets ready to take on Soundwave. But they're in a crowded marketplace. And then he brings out his Decepticon Frenzy, who uses this weird thing that makes everybody go fucking crazy. And they essentially just go and start ripping on Orion. And he's trying to make sure that Soundwave doesn't escape, but Soundwave escapes. And it's like, fuck. But Silverbolt, good old Silverbolt. He runs away to find him, but fights fucking Ratbat. Fucking Ratbat. Soundwave and Frenzy have just reached the border of Kaon, where Orion Pax eventually catches up to them. He blasts his Frenzy and crushes Soundwave in his chest before he can eject another guy by the name of Buzzsaw. And then there's a brief fight with Orion, and he eventually comes out on top because he's fucking Orion Pax's best security guard that ever lived. And then Skywarp appears with all the other Decepticons and announces that the Autobots that they have no jurisdiction in Kaon, holding Bumblebee hostage. Are you fucking surprised?
Essentially trying to sell weapons, finds out about this vampiric energon from that Zeta Prime plans to use for the reason of dealing with Nyan, which is a district that is essentially fallen under Decepticon rule, and some of the people that live there, one of them being Hot Rod, does not like the Decepticons even as much as the Autobots don't, because while they believe in the whole idea of freedom, they really can't get behind Megatron and his batshit crazy ideals sometimes. The man's like, spoke here or not, the guy made his mark on being a vicious warrior.
Most of his solutions for things involve a high body count.
His solution for everything is a high body count.
So now they're going to get their meeting with Megatron. And Megatron is pretty much like, you know what, Orion, I'm pretty cool with you. You're challenging the Senate, and I think I think we should work together. And Megatron reveals that the reason Orion's team attacked Nyan in the first place is that Zeta Prime had information leaked to the insurgents so he could use their deaths as a pretext for attacking the city, backing up with Soundwave's recording of the recent security meeting. Holy shit. Shit's about to go down. And as soon as Orion Pax is about to fucking bust Megatron's chops, the rest of his team attack the Decepticons and rescue Bumblebee before escaping on board the Autobot transport fucking Skylynx. Back at Iacon, Orion asks Zeta Prime about his plans to deal with the people of Nyan, and he's only ignored, and he's accused of being led into various ambushes and being just a shitty cop in general. But Zeta gives him a second chance to make up for his fucking mistakes, and tells him to find the guy that bombed Nyan, which is a neutral transformer, and his name is Hot Rod. So Orion Pax and the gang, and Bumblebee, fucking Bumblebee, they arrive in the Acropolis in Nyan, where they find that Hot Rod has taken refuge. Once inside, they realize that there's all these plasma mines everywhere, and Hot Rod has neglected to arm them, meaning this could be a trap. Meanwhile, Hound is looking around and waxing poetic, because that's what Hound does. He waxes poetic about the Knights of Cybertron and the days of yore and how everything was probably a hell of a lot better back then. So they're going on past the mines. Orion Pax is like, fuck it, we're just going to keep going. Like, what other terrible things can happen today? And they finally find what on the wall, which looks like the shape of the Autobot Matrix of Leadership, or in this case, just the Matrix of Leadership. And Hound goes on about how it symbolizes hope and peace, and while Ironhide doubts it exists, it's just propaganda for the Primes. And then Orion's like, fuck it, guys, shut the fuck up, alright? I'm done with you people talking about all your weird shit. I'm already on the edge and just this fucking close, and fucking Bumblebee. Finally reaching the heart of the Acropolis, Orion Pax and his Autobot team finally find Hot Rod. But before he approaches him, they notice all of the collapsed transformers around all of these energon pods. Essentially, they find out that Zeta Prime's plan is to absorb the energon of all of these transformers and use it as a means to hunt down the Decepticons. And Hot Rod baited them there so he can convince them to join the insurgency, because he's a huge fan of Orion Pax. He saw him stand up to the Senate and thought that he would be a hell of a lot better to back his team with than the corrupt-ass Primes. And as Orion takes a moment to look over Nyan, he sees the Omega Destructors and Zeta Prime just fucking wrecking shit. And now they have no other choice but to just get rid of the motherfucker. So Zeta Prime and his Omega Destructors, they're just fucking everything. Essentially, they're draining the energy of the citizens and then burn the city down. It's a really shitty thing to do. Like, holy shit. Like, how much worse can you get? You go to the house, you kill the people, but the thing that you're using to blow their house up is their own innards. It's really fucked up. So Orion Pax is telling Hot Rod to evacuate everyone, and he's just going to be like, fuck it, I'll just take out Zeta right here now. I can do this. I got this. And watching from the shadows, Megatron's like, Zeta Prime. Holy shit. Let's see what this guy's gonna do. So, acting as bait, Orion lures one of the Omega Destructors with the help of good old Prowl, and they go into the place called the Rust Narrows. And the rest of the team just fucking wrecks it with gunfire. Once the war machine proves to be completely unharmed, however, Orion calls for a retreat in hopes that Hot Rod is done evacuating everyone. However, Hot Rod's rebels have already given up. They just realize there's nothing to they're not gonna do anything, they can't get away. Hot Rod just kills his own people. He's just like, fuck it, you guys don't wanna die this way, then you're just gonna die this way. Nyan is going up in flames, the Omega Destructors are destroying everything, and Zeta Prime just admits that everything has been going according to his plan. Orion led Hot Rod into there, Hot Rod killed all of his own people, everything's going the way that he wanted. And Zeta just lets everyone in on the moral of the story, which is being on the right side isn't important as long as you're on the winning side. Boy, that doesn't sound like really good things a leader should say, right? So Orion's like, fuck! And then he's taken out by the vampiric ribbon. Zeta wins. Zeta Prime's gonna execute Orion Pax, and then he's interrupted by Megatron and his Decepticons, because Megatron's like, fuck it, I'm done. Zeta Prime sees that as a means to get rid of two things he doesn't really care about, and uses the vampiric ribbon. But the weapon sucks up too much energon and blows up due to the Decepticon leader shielding himself with, well, he makes a human shield. And it makes the gun blow up. And then Zeta's like, you know what? I'm not gonna deal with Megatron because he's too fucking real. I'm out of here.
Optimus essentially figures out that Zeta Prime did all this, so he literally let them get kidnapped by the Decepticons. He let them meet up with Megatron, so essentially they can go in there and wreck their shit. Which is essentially what they do. That is exactly what they do. All of the citizens of Nyan are completely wiped out. Technically, it is the fault of not only the Autobots that were there, but Hot Rod, and they're all like, shit, what are we going to do? So Zeta Prime captures everybody, they're all locked up, but Megatron and Optimus are like, you know what, the only way we're going to deal with this bloodthirsty madman who's destroying our planet is essentially to work together, which occasionally Optimus and Megatron, they have their disagreements, but one thing they do is they love their fucking planet and they want their people to survive, no matter what. They just are on different sides of the extremes. Like, one believes that, yes, the race should be protected, but at the same time, it shouldn't be at the expense of others, while the other one just wants their race to be, great and wonderful like it always was, and doesn't care about the consequences, whatever. Like, his people come first kind of idea. So that's why a lot of people would rather them on Megatron, but a lot of people kind of support them. But at the same time, they're both doing shitty things to people. It's a war. That happens in wars. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that kind of moral high ground, which is weird to get from a series that originally started as a cartoon show for toys.
Coccular Orion Pax is repaired by Shockwave, and he admits to Megatron that he was right about Zeta Prime's crimes. Megatron again offers that they should work together against Zeta's rule, telling Orion that he has got no other choice than to trust him. Ironhide and Thundercracker are squabbling in another room when Shockwave enters and announces that everything's been decided. So Orion Pax goes and reassures Hot Rod, who is in deep regret after pretty much killing everyone in Nyan, and he tells him that sometimes making a difficult decision and carrying the burden afterwards is a big part of being a leader. He then makes a difficult decision of his own and meets with Megatron and shakes hands with him in front of the other Autobots. Holy shit. So we go back to Icon. Zeta Prime is assuring the Senate that his methods are working when his Citadel suddenly comes under attack by the mind forces of Megatron's Decepticons and Orion Pax's defected officers. Not a cool name. They'll get a better one soon. The troops are keeping busy the Omega Destructors that Zeta sends on them. And essentially Megatron and Orion Pax, they're airdropping into the Citadel and onto the Prime himself, who's like, fuck it, I'm going to take you on and we're going to get this done. Orion relieves Zeta of his vampiric ribbon, but he does not give up so easily and in turn relieves Orion of his arm. Now Orion Pax has one arm and is getting fucked up. Meanwhile on the battlefield, Ironhide is approached by Ultra Magnus and his unit, who have also turned on Zeta Prime because Ultra Magnus is pretty fucking smash. The rebel Autobots defeat most of the Omega Destructors. Meanwhile, in the Citadel, Megatron fights Zeta Prime and finally kills him with a point-blank fusion cannon shot to the head. Then Zeta troops flee, and the last Destructor is destroyed, and everybody's super happy because everything is great again. And then just as that happens, an Orion Pack arrests his medic, Megatron, in a completely unpredicted event that pretty sure nobody saw coming, but totally did. Downs Orion, who says that he is no longer useful.
Wait, I still function.
Wanna bet?
So essentially, Optimus and Megatron rally a bunch of people. They get to the Senate office itself, and they're like, you know what, fuck it, we're done with this. We don't want any more people dying. We're going to create a brand new world. This is what's going to happen. I believe Zeta Prime dies at this point, or his shit gets wrecked by the combined assault of Optimus and Megatron, and then shortly afterwards, as Optimus calls for a medic to heal his wounds, Megatron wrecks him and kills him right then and there. Well, not so much kills him, but just like rips his body apart, and he's no longer needed, and then starts his whole, now I'm going to rule all of Cybertron because everybody out of my way.
So the Autobots are considering rallying the people in a resistance movement against Megatron. Their safe house is compromised by the Decepticons, holy shit, and they're all arrested. And while the Autobots are led away, Starscream takes some special interest in Hot Rod and tells him to join the Decepticons. Deep beneath Iacon, Orion Pax is totally not dead yet. And he's kind of scrambling around, he has no idea what he's doing, and all of a sudden he hears a voice in his head and sees an energy source that he makes his way to, and what does he see? The Matrix of Leadership. And the voices in his head that sound just like him, but older and wiser, like he's totally not going crazy or anything, tell him to reach out for the artifact. And as he does it, he can feel the fear, the angry, the loneliness. He can feel all the emotions that all of the Cybertronians right now are feeling. And beyond that, and he takes in a few but bright sparks that still burn with courage and hope, and realizes the Matrix does not only represent leadership or creation, but it represents the sparks of everyone on Cybertron. So the Matrix is coursing through Orion Pax and repairing all of his body and his injuries and everything, and imbuing his mind with clarity and wisdom, like he's getting shot with a bit of Jesus juice. He realizes that despite what the Decepticons think, the Cybertronians are not a divided race, and that unity is a matter of perception and rather than some event that has to be brought out. So the Autobots are not supposed to fight to uphold the laws of a broken system, but to protect the freedom of all sentient beings. It's time for change. And suddenly, as he realizes that, he's no longer Orion Pax, he's Optimus Prime. Optimus fucking Prime.
One shall stand, one shall fall.
So, Hot Rod is brought to the Citadel for an audience with the Lord Megatron, who is super impressed by Hot Rod. Obviously, Megatron does not make any clear and right decisions. And though he's lost track of what he's fighting for, Hot Rod chooses to fight against following Megatron after witnessing him ordering the execution of Bumblebee. Meanwhile, the Matrix guides Optimus Prime back to the ruins of Nyan, and where it allows him to feel a weak life force pulsating underground near the Acropolis. So, while all that's happening, Hot Rod breaks Bumblebee, Ironhide, Ultra Magnus, and everybody else out of jail, explaining that he's realized the Autobots are fighting for the right reasons, and says, "Let me be a motherfucking Autobot." The other members of Magnus, Orion Pax's team, escape as well, and they follow Orion's ID signal all the way to Nyan, where they're shocked to learn that Orion has acquired the Matrix and is jacked the fuck up and decides to be called Optimus Prime. Optimus then announces his troops they're going to set things right and bring back justice to Cybertron, and then announces their newest ally, and then a giant city turns into a robot, and that robot is Metroplex. No shit, the city that they're standing in, right then and there, just decides to turn into a fucking robot, because it was there the whole time. You know what? I bet their planet's made out of a robot too. I think it actually is. So, Metroplex claims to know Optimus Prime, explaining that history tends to repeat itself, and there's always somebody like him ready to fight against the chaos. He doesn't join up with the Autobots right away, he wishes to aid the survivors of Nyan first, because that's what good guys do. So in Triax, Blaster, good Soundwave, is speaking up against the Decepticons' rule via his pirate broadcast station, Nexus, and then is attacked by Breakdown and Wild Rider. He is saved by Optimus Prime, and he asks him to help spread the truth of the people to Cybertron. If Optimus Prime broke into your job right fucking now and said, you gotta come help me right fucking now. If it was helping him wash a car, you'd do it, because it's fucking Optimus Prime. You just don't say no to that. So anyways, to blast herself, Optimus hijacked the Icon newsfeed system and broadcast a feed to transmit a message from Optimus to all the oppressed Cybertronians. And all across the planet, bots are like, holy shit, that's awesome. And he asks them to unite against Megatron. And though it doesn't seem like many people would follow him, what did I just say? Optimus Prime just asked you to help out. So I don't know why they're surprised as he sees a huge crowd led by Prime heading towards the Citadel. He orders Starscream and the Seekers to destroy them, but they get tied up in air-to-air combat with the aerial bots. And now everybody's trying to run away, but Optimus stands there and stands tall and says, "Nah." He raises their flag and tells them that either they win or lose their world today, forever. So as the Battle of the Citadel rages on, Megatron orders Blitzwing's armored division to keep the Autobots pinned down in preparation for a surprise he has in store. Optimus and his followers are saved from the tank barrage by the arrival of the Dinobots. They reveal a big huge gun called the Vampiric Annihilator, and Megatron's ready to fuck these guys up. And then Prime calls in Metroplex, who decimates pretty much everything. The vampiric thing has no effect on the giant because he is a fucking city. And then it gets kind of awesome from here. Optimus fights Megatron, Megatron loses, but he grabs a gun in the rubble and tries to distract Optimus Prime with pleas of mercy, kind of like that movie that happened. And his trick nearly works as Prime still has hope that they can work together to unite Cybertron, but Hot Rod sees this, reaching for the gun, and intervenes. So he's grabbed and he's held hostage by Megatron. He gets out of the trap by suddenly transforming and driving off, which he could have done in the movie and not have Optimus die. So Prime is able to shoot him and injure the Decepticon leader. Megatron is taken away by Soundwave because they love each other, but not before warning Optimus Prime that he hasn't won, and he only started a war of unparalleled proportions. As you go in through this series, that is a very, very accurate statement. So, the Decepticons have retreated. Metroplex becomes Icon's new capital by placing himself in city mode over the ruins of the Citadel. And all the survivors tell Bumblebee that they've chosen to become chroniclers, cataloging the past. Prowlshoe shows Optimus a newly discovered storehouse of illegal weapons stockpiled by Zeta Prime and the Senate and suggests that they use them against the Decepticons. Optimus, saying "fuck no," orders that they are destroyed before visiting Hot Rod to thank him for saving his life. Then Hot Rod realizes he doesn't really deserve any gratitude for the part in destroying Nyan, but Prime tells him that he stood up for what he believed in like a hero and should hold his head high, because after all, someday, he might be the one holding the Matrix. Foreshadowing.
He's fucking Optimus Prime at this point. And then all this other shit happens, and now we've established that there is now the established Autobots and the established Decepticons. Boom!
Megatron? Is that you?
Here's a hint.